Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Wrestling Doesn't Make Sense, where me and John talk about pro wrestling and whether or not it makes sense, pretty much. And we had a show on the other day, which was Clash of Champions, which is where all the champions get together and defend their belts. Well, not all of them, wink, wink, but we'll get to that at some point. Maybe we should get to that right now, because before the show started, two of the matches that were advertised were kind of rejigged. One of them was removed entirely, which was the women's tag team championship match. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax versus the Riot Squad.
Yes.
So that was just cut. Don't worry about it. The hell with that. Bayley was supposed to fight Nikki Cross, but that got changed to Bayley versus a mystery opponent. And luckily for me, the Asuka match got moved onto the main card and not the pre-show.
That was supposed to be a pre-show match, was it?
Yeah, and then I think on the day or maybe the night before, they switched it to the tag team championship match, which I also watched because Shinsuke Nakamura was in it. And I like him. I like that man. They won, so that's good. Shinsuke won a match.
Nice.
Can't argue with that. That was fine. So that was the pre-show. Great times, you know. The first match was one I think we were all probably looking forward to once they announced it, which was a ladder match between AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, and Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental, to be the true Intercontinental Champion.
That's correct.
Because there were two belts. Good old Sami Zayn won the belt, and then stayed home for COVID-19, understandably so. And then AJ Styles won the belt, and then Jeff Hardy beat AJ Styles, right?
That's correct, yep.
Which is, then Sami Zayn came back. That's how we got this triple threat ladder match. Good way to open the show.
Yeah, talk about setting the bar high, jeez.
Yeah, you know, like, everybody was looking forward to that match. To put that on first, that was ballsy, because you knew that one was going to kick ass. You know, with those three guys in it, you're like, this is going to be insane. And it was pretty insane.
Yep.
There was some wild-ass fucking stuff going on in that match. You know, did you see Sami Zayn's back at some point?
I know, it was all messed up.
Oh, my God. I'm like, and you're already halfway through this fucking thing. What the fuck else is... And then it just kept going. I thought it was a really good match.
Yeah, I mean, I found it a bit scary at points as well. Like, you know, this is coming, 2 or 3 weeks after that AEW pay-per-view where Matt Hardy took that scary fall and, you know, looked pretty much concussed and stuff. And then in this match, you get Jeff Hardy, who's taking all sorts of, like, really nasty falls and bumps and, like, Jesus Christ, man, he's in his 40s. He probably should be slowing down, you know, this style and taking care of himself a bit more, but fair play to the guy for going out there and just putting it all on the line. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I agree in that watching that match, like, all the way through it, in the back of my head, I was just like, dude, I could be watching somebody else get hurt. That's what that fucking show did to me. That All Elite Wrestling show is that now when I watch matches with, like, spots, like you know, stuff like that, I'm just like, oh my goodness, they're gonna get hurt, you know. So some of that was kind of scary, and now, like I don't know if that's safe for you boys to be doing. I mean, none of it was safe.
No.
Not a fucking bit of it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I like the finish.
Yeah,
I think everybody liked the finish, right?
Really creative.
Fucking, that was so good, especially when you see the replay and you see Sami Zayn, like, with the key in his mouth, and he, like, pokes it out and he grabs it and then he looks into the camera like a fucker, like a real, like, shit-eating grin on his face. He's like, looks like I got this. It was like a little Eddie Guerrero moment. Do you know what I mean by that?
Oh, absolutely.
Eddie used to do shit like that all the time, where he kind of, like, wink at the audience, and I'm like, oh, that was, oh, beautiful. That whole thing, like with the handcuffs around in fucking Jeff Hardy's ear and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Yeah, dude, I really like that match.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And a surprising result, I'd say, as well. Like, I honestly didn't think Sami Zayn stood a chance of winning that, which is why he won the triple threat match on last week's SmackDown, just to kind of, give him a bit of a rub and say, oh, he could win, just to kind of, give him some credibility and whatnot. But I thought for sure, like, Jeff Hardy was walking out with both titles in this, but pleasantly surprised to be wrong.
Dude, I agree. I thought, that's definitely, it's good to see Sami Zayn getting a shot. This is lovely. He had a little reign as Intercontinental Championship. We but here's Jeff Hardy and here's AJ Styles. We know the way that this company tends to run things, and it's not Sami Zayn's favor. But by God, they give him, he got both belts.
Yeah.
He got them both back. So I guess now he gets to keep one.
Oh, he could keep both if he wants.
Like, well, I think once somebody beats him for the belt, he's gonna have to give that one away. I mean, if somebody beats him for the belt.
Yeah, true.
Sami Zayn might be the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. This time next year, we could be like, yep, Sami Zayn's still Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, move over, honky tonk man. You've just got beat.
Hey, he had a pretty long reign, Honky Tonk Man. He's been the greatest Intercontinental Champion for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice for a new face to turn up. Who better than Sami Zayn?
Exactly.
They're both equally as glamorous.
Wow, yeah, Sami Zayn's beard and hair combo right now it's pretty impressive.
It's glorious, isn't it? He in no way looks like a homeless man. Yeah, okay. So fun match so far. What was the one? Let me see if I can even fucking remember.
Well, technically there was not a match, but a title change backstage where Drew Gulak rolled up R-Truth for the 24/7 title.
There you go. So all even the 24/7 championship is getting some love on Clash of Champions.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough love to warrant an actual match.
No, of course not.
We got some funny shenanigans, and boy, how we laughed.
But after that, it was the Raw Women's Championship, where Asuka defended against Zelina Vega, who I thought was like an interesting choice for her opponent, considering, Zelina Vega hasn't really been pushed as a wrestler. She's been pushed more as a manager for so long. So it was interesting to see her step up, and I thought she did a really good job. I was quite impressed, in fact, because Asuka would be pretty confident going into a match like this against someone who's not competing regularly, but I thought Zelina kind of controlled aspects of the match and looked like she was frustrating Asuka, who maybe wasn't as prepared or was maybe taking it a bit too lightly or whatever. But I thought it all looked pretty good and it all came together well, and did some good business and putting Zelina Vega over and making her look like a legit competitor.
Once again, I am compelled to agree with you. Zelina Vega looked really good in the match, and it was fun. I enjoyed watching that match, as I would, because I'm a little biased. Because I don't know if I told you, but I really like Asuka.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, she's really good. Keep an eye on that kid. Trust me.
Okay.
Zelina Vega, you don't really get to see her too much in the ring. You're right in that she's done a better or a more prominent job as a manager, but she can still go in the ring, And I thought that she did a really good job against Asuka here. I liked the little sequence at the end. Again, like just the little ending, the finish was really good. That little sequence and like how quickly she tapped out.
Yeah.
Arguably, Asuka didn't even have the whole thing like completely locked in, but her tapping out so quick, puts a lot of legitimacy to the hold. Yeah, I like that match too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a little short.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, not every match has to go like 20 odd minutes, so does it? That's like AEW's problem like every match is way too long. So
Right. Yeah, well, that's one of their problems.
yeah,
So yeah, the first two matches have been pretty good so far.
yeah.
I think so. What was the third one?
That would be Bobby Lashley defending the United States Championship against former champion Apollo Crews.
Right. Now this one, as opposed to the last match was quite a unique matchup. We hadn't seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
This one we've seen before a couple of times already,
Yep.
but we've talked about how good both these guys are.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought this was another really good match.
I thought it was decent. I think they've had better matches, but I mean, it served a purpose, I guess. And we got to see our first frog splash of the night as well.
Was this the only one?
It could have been actually, yeah.
I think it might have been. Maybe the tidal wave of frog splashes is over.
After we
But
called them out on it.
yeah, I see they're listening. See? There you go. We'll take our consultancy fees through PayPal if you guys want to pay. That's totally fine. No, I like that match. It wasn't a fucking 5-star classic by any means, but I'm like, you know what? It's a solid match. Two solid guys in it, I dig it. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to say about that one.
No, just that Bobby Lashley's one-arm spine buster is just a thing of beauty.
Mm.
He did it right near the end, like right before he slapped on the full Nelson or the hurt block, I think he calls it. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you. So yeah, so far stuff's looking pretty good. I
Yeah.
thought, nothing. There's been no duds, but this has happened before.
Yeah, we've been lured in, and then it quickly changes.
Yeah, but usually it's like one match that will just really suck. So far I think we're on a pretty good trajectory right now. The first match was really good, and the other two after that haven't been, nothing's gone wrong in them, so that's all good. What's the next match?
Well, hopefully nothing goes wrong in this one, but it's the Raw Tag Team Championship match where it's the Street Profits against Andrade and Angel Garza.
I couldn't see anything going wrong with this match.
Hmm.
Again, familiar matchup. We've seen these guys fight a bunch of times this year. I like all the guys involved. I really do like Angel Garza and Andrade. I think they look great. I think they're a good tag team as well, and I feel like this is all going to end up with them splitting apart and fighting each other.
Yeah.
Relatively soon, which I think is a shame. I think that had they put the belts on those guys like now by beating the Street Profits, I don't think that would have been a bad move at all. Maybe that's just me, but this match happened, and for the most part, it was kind of what we're familiar with. These two guys fighting over and over again. We've seen this a couple of times already.
Yeah.
So yeah, for the most part, pretty standard affair. And then near the end, things got a little bit messy.
Yeah, I think what happened was essentially Angel Garza picked up some sort of injury, which I've heard it might have been like a hip injury, or someone saying it was like a quadriceps tear or something like that. But either way, he basically had to tag out and rolled out the ring. And it sounds like whoever was in the back producing this, or in charge of things, which is probably Vince McMahon, I guess, but Vince basically sent word to the referee so that after Dawkins hit a spine buster on Andrade and pinned him, and Andrade clearly kicked out before the 3, the referee still counted 3 and called for the bell. And yeah, it was just a really kind of shoddy finish, and like this is coming a couple of weeks after that controversial Mickey James match on Raw, which it had like a weird referee kind of calling for the bell early and stuff, and just screwing up essentially. So it's like another instance of the WWE's referees not looking particularly great coming out of a match, but oh well, never mind.
Right. Like, I get that some kind of call was made to the referee to say just finish the match up as quick as possible.
Mm.
But I also don't get why the referee couldn't, like, while going down for the pin, couldn't have said, "Hey, dude, just don't kick out."
Yeah,
So,
or like go to the finish or whatever.
yeah, like just like go home immediately, you
Yeah.
know, um, which he would have had a chance to. And yeah, like that was strange. I mean, like while you were watching the show, during the match, I couldn't tell anything, but like afterwards, you could tell when you could see the doctors around Angel
Mm.
Garza, like, oh, okay, that that's explained that. But you could tell that the guys in the ring were still a little bit like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Fucking Angelo Dawkins did not look happy. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you won, right? You're the winner. At least try to make it look like you're happy with winning. Um, yeah, like that was a problem that was kind of like so noticeable.
Mm.
Um, because because of the circumstances, like he was really hurt, and they could have made with a little bit of tweaking, they could have made that look a little bit more smooth than it was. But yeah, other than that, the match itself was fine.
Yeah, and hopefully Angel Garza isn't like seriously injured because, like you're saying, it feels like they're pretty close now to pulling the trigger on splitting up the team and everything, and having Garza and Andrade feud with one another. So it'd suck if he gets injured and he's on the shelf for a long time, right at that point where it's gonna ruin that storyline essentially.
Who would you have as the face and the heel between the two of them?
Hmm. I think I'd go for Angel Garza as the face because with the whole ripping off his pants thing, that's kind of I don't know. It seems weird to say it's kind of a face move, like I guess in terms of like it pops the crowd, but well, if there was a crowd, but
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I would have said the opposite.
Oh, okay.
I would have went with Angel Garza as a heel and like the him popping his trousers off, but also like the other stuff, like him flirting with the Bachelorette or whoever the fuck that is backstage, and
Mm,
like stuff like this, like it's showing off his own arrogance and his own like conceited ways. So I would have him as a heel,
yeah.
um, and then have Andrade as the face because Andrade's like been a heel pretty much his whole run, I
Mm,
think, and now that they seem to have teased that Zelina Vega wants nothing to do with either of them, which is strange. I'm like, why? Okay, whatever. I don't run that company, but if that's a chance for, because she's so good at being a heel, like she's great
mm,
as a heel manager. But if she's no longer in the equation, I could see him kind of being a face, and I think he could pull that off. And I feel like
yeah.
Angel Garza could definitely pull off like a smarmy fucking heel, you know?
But at the same time, I think he's definitely got like an Eddie Guerrero vibe about him as well, which
Hmm.
definitely sort of plays to be in a big popular face as well. But I mean, Eddie was a great heel too, so you know
He was great at everything.
he really was.
We miss him.
Mm.
Come back, Eddie. I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay. What was the next one?
Well, technically, we had another 24/7 title match where R-Truth showed up in disguise whilst Drew Gulak was being interviewed and then whacked him over the head with some kind of bowl or something. And yeah, won what I believe is his 40th 24/7 championship.
The guy's doing all right for himself.
Yeah, I think he's put himself in top spot now when it comes to the most number of total title reigns in WWE.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing,
Yeah.
but there he is. He is the one with that dubious distinction. I like the way that you said we have another 24/7 championship match. I'm like, I don't know if that's I call that a match. I like him fucking using the bowl though, because every other time that the 24/7 championship has changed hands has just been through a roll up.
Yeah.
Just every time is just like, oops, I'm going backwards, and then that's it. Like at least this time, Truth was like, because the fundamentals of wrestling, as you know, is you have to beat up a guy enough to pin his shoulders to the mat for at
Hmm.
least 3 seconds. So, you would think at some point one of those 24/7 champions would figure out that a schoolboy is coming at any moment, but they're
Mm.
not going to expect a fucking dish to the head.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a smart move on our Truth's part. He's smarter than he looks, that dude.
Hmm.
Okay, so after that incredibly important 24/7 championship match.
So after that, we had Bailey come out to kind of remind everyone that she was supposed to be against Nikki Cross, but for medical reasons, Nikki Cross couldn't compete. So uh, I believe she said she's going to give like an opportunity of a lifetime to anybody who wants it for like a shot at the SmackDown Women's title. And who should answer that call but Asuka? Because apparently Asuka's like the only woman on the women's roster, really.
She's the best one.
She is, but I mean, like, they have gone to this well so many times over the last few months where Asuka just seems to be like the only challenger to both Raw and SmackDown women's titles.
Which again, if you had the best wrestler in the world, wouldn't you just give all the belts to the best wrestler?
I guess, but and I'm sure like the other women in the back are just like, I'm here too.
Yeah, they're probably pretty pissed off. But at the same time, Asuka's the best. My stream cut off while Bailey was doing her speech at the
Yes.
beginning. So when it came back on, I just saw Asuka wrestling Bailey. I'm like, all right, I'll take this. This is awesome. You know, I'm incredibly excited now. Asuka's wrestling twice again. These,
Hmm.
say what you want about the WWE, but at least somehow, kind of, they give me exactly what I want. And Asuka won, technically.
Yeah,
So therefore, she won 2 matches that night. She's doing pretty well for herself. You would
absolutely.
expect no less from the best women's wrestlers to have a successful night. Again, like you said, we've seen these two guys fight a couple of times the last couple of months. So this, was still good. It was
Hmm.
Asuka versus Bailey. They did they I thought it was fun.
I mean, it was only like less than 4 minutes, and it was more about just getting to the Sasha Banks return and attack afterwards. So,
Yeah,
in those terms, it kind of accomplished exactly what it set out to do.
exactly. So I was like, okay, suits me. I dig it. This is all grand. Is Sasha like injured?
Yeah, well, yeah, she's still carrying the injuries from, I believe, Bailey's like initial attack on her, like 2 or 3 weeks ago now. So yeah.
Okay, cause I was thinking, obviously we're gonna get Bailey versus Sasha Banks.
Hell in a Cell, baby.
Yeah, well that's what I was thinking. I'm like, what if instead of Asuka accepting the challenge in Clash of Champions, Sasha Banks did?
Mm.
Because it's like at first you think that doesn't make sense because you need Sasha here for the build up to the match. You don't want to just give that away right now with no build up. But I'm like,
Mm.
well, what you want to do is have Sasha Banks accept the match on that night as a surprise because Bailey's not expecting it. Bailey's already pissed, and then they do this match. They like go a couple of minutes, and then Bailey gets pissed off and disqualifies herself. And then that way, Bailey feels great because she has got one over Sasha Banks again,
Mm.
and she runs away with the belt, which can lead to Hell in a Cell because that way you're like, well, we need a match where there's no disqualifications. What
Or
better?
even, well, you could cut out the middleman and just not have the match, and you could have just had Sasha answer the open challenge, but just come in with a chair and stuff and start,
Oh
wailing on
yeah,
Bailey.
yeah, just have them brawl for a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like, wouldn't that have made sense too?
absolutely.
Not
But
that I'm complaining about more Asuka, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But that was just what I thought of. Like, you could have got you could have went that angle, I guess. But still good.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody's dead. Nobody's gone into a big vat of orange juice.
Ah, I know. What's going on? I'm not used to shows where there isn't any orange juice.
Yeah, nobody's like doing a fucking no night suplex 86 times down the length of a football stadium. I'm like, is this the pro wrestling I remember? I don't know. I think that's what got me the most. I'm like, is this like a half decent show? I was like, that's the point we've got to now where we're surprised when it's good.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this didn't totally suck. Which is, this should be the bare fucking minimum, but so yeah, I'm enjoying stuff so far.
Mm-hmm.
Then what was next?
Then was the ambulance match
Oh
between Drew
yeah.
McIntyre and Randy Orton.
Fun fact about this match.
Mm-hmm.
Once Christian got involved, I guess I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but we'll get there. A lot of legends turned up during this match because Randy Orton is a legend killer.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I guess they're just gonna do it again. And some of the legends that he killed the second time around were Ric Flair, Christian, the Big Show. Apparently, I don't remember that one. And Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
So during this match, we've seen Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton fight before, and it's been good. It's been good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, ambulance match, that's stupid, but whatever. It's not like an ambulance on a pole match. Or, it's not ridiculous. So I'm like, okay, fine, let's have an ambulance match. And it was good stuff. It was hard hitting, and throughout the match, these little legends would turn up. Because it was super weird the first time when you see Randy Orton like hitting the ropes, and then like the camera like cuts to a hard hard zoom in shot of like Randy Orton's foot with an arm attached to it, and you're like, what the fuck? What? And then it turns out Big Show was like grabbed Randy Orton's leg. And did you notice when he chokeslammed him that like Orton flies away before his show is even like ready to go?
No, I missed that. No.
Go back and watch it. Like they're going for the chokeslam, and then Randy Orton's just like, poof, and then the Big Show's arm comes down. Like Orton's like, I got this, man. Don't worry about it. So yeah, he kind of hits the table real weird. But the fun fact is, once I saw Christian turn up, Christian turns up backstage in catering or something, and beats up Orton. I mentioned to my brother, I'm like, oh hey, Christian's made an appearance. Your favorite. He's like, call me whenever Ric Flair turns up, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I bet Ric Flair is just gonna be the one driving the ambulance.
Yeah.
Like what? I'm like, it's an ambulance match, That wouldn't that be funny if Ric Flair just like was in the ambulance and drove off. So then some more stuff happens, and Drew hits a like rough looking bump onto the windscreen.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that one looked so painful. Oh my goodness. Oh, that one give me the shivers. But good stuff so far. Shawn Michaels turns up and super kicks Randy Orton off the top of an ambulance.
Yeah.
Well, he super kicks him and then lightly pushes him off. By this point, I was like, dude, I love Drew McIntyre, but if Drew McIntyre can't beat Randy Orton now, good God, he looks like an idiot. You know what I mean? The Big Show and Christian and Shawn Michaels have turned up and beat the shit out of Randy Orton on top of you beat the shit out of Randy Orton. Dude, if you can't finish this now, you know what I mean? Fortunately, he did finish it, and he closed the door on the ambulance after a lot of stuff happened in that match.
Yeah, it was a very busy match. And I don't know how I feel about it as well in terms of like all those cameos and stuff from like, Big Show, Christian and whatnot. Like, okay, I know it kind of plays into the story and there's like a sense of resolution there from like Orton punting all of them and, taking them out and stuff. So they're getting their payback, and that's good to see. But at the same time, like, you kind of think it makes Drew McIntyre look as if he couldn't beat Randy Orton on his own as well. So yeah, I guess it's good in one sense, but kind of weird in another. And but then it seems like that we've got another Orton McIntyre match coming up with potentially it being Hell in a Cell. And yeah, I guess it will probably be the end of McIntyre's title reign, but I mean, who knows? But I did see something funny on Twitter earlier today where, like, Drew McIntyre's entire title reign, really, well, a lot of it at least, has followed the almost exact same path that Kofi Kingston's did last year, where, like, even down to facing, Dolph Ziggler for the title on like a random pay-per-view, and then going on to like a 3-month feud with Orton where Kofi kept beating Orton and stuff as well. But yeah, it's quite funny that he's pretty much doing the Kofi Kingston spot this year.
Didn't even think of that. Wouldn't even have thought of that, man.
But let's hope Brock Lesnar doesn't show up and beat him in 8 seconds.
Hey, man, that would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting, but I mean,
yeah, I'm not saying it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting if they did that again. I mean, like, we all kind of thought that this would be the end of it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I thought people were like, this is gonna be when they're not gonna have Orton lose again. Drew McIntyre's gonna win. But isn't that interesting how Drew McIntyre won an ambulance match with the help of those other guys, and then he also, like, last time they fought, didn't he beat him with a roll up?
Yeah.
So you're like, all right, Orton still has outs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he has been beaten by the heavyweight champion twice in championship matches, but there's still an out there. You can see why they could do another match.
Absolutely.
But I find that interesting though, because then what's going to happen? Because it's not going to be Orton versus McIntyre at WrestleMania.
No.
Because they've already done it 3 times this year, or they're going to do it 3 times. So that's interesting, because now we're starting to get closer to WrestleMania season again.
Yeah.
Even before the Royal Rumble, you can start looking to see what seeds are being planted, and who, like, you can see like who's going to be going into the Royal Rumble as a contender, and that kind of plays out in the month or 2 before that. So we're getting to that point pretty soon. I think it's going to be Big E.
Well, I mean, I think it's dangerous to kind of assume WWE has long-term plans, because just going by the whole retribution angle, that definitely doesn't have any plans whatsoever. They're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks right now.
Oh, I changed my mind. I think it's going to be Retribution.
Oh, there you go. T-Bar.
Yeah, they're all going to win the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will say one thing I didn't... I found kind of funny about this. There was like one spot where they were fighting on the ambulance, like right before Shawn Michaels showed up. And like Drew McIntyre's like dangling off the side of the ambulance, and Randy Orton's trying to like stomp on his fingers to make him fall down. But like Drew McIntyre is so tall that he's basically falling down like 2 inches. So yeah, it just looked ridiculous.
I gotta say that I agree with you on the Legends business. I'm like, at some point it felt a little bit like, okay, a little heavy-handed. That whole bit reminded me a lot of like a WrestleMania moment, quote unquote.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. It's like, look, it's your old pals back again.
Mm-hmm.
And I should, just for the sake of prosperity, say that Ric Flair was indeed the person who ended up driving the ambulance away.
Yeah, of course he was.
And I'm like, man, I'm not very good at calling stuff, but I could call Ric Flair driving the ambulance away. But even that, I got a pop out of it, because he was so, God bless Ric Flair, So happy to be there.
Yep.
He's like, driving this fucking ambulance. See you later. And you're like, man, how it's impossible to hate that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is quite ironic given that most of his wrestling career was based on you hating him.
Yeah, I'd say loving to hate him.
There's something about them, isn't there? You're like,
Mm.
oh, you little scamp, you know? Really, he's a fucking 70-year-old man just drinking his Lifebuoy. I don't know how he does it, man. I don't know how he does it. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Ric Flair. So that leaves us to the main event, does it?
It does indeed.
All right. So that was. Here's the thing. The last couple of months, what we've seen is we've seen Drew McIntyre as a champion on Raw, and he's been putting out consistently good matches.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the one thing we can say about this whole pandemic from WrestleMania till now is that, god dang it, Drew McIntyre hasn't had a dud of a match.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's made the best of everything, and conversely, on the flip side, SmackDown has had a little bit of a ebb and flow. You know, things haven't gone as smoothly on their side when it comes to championship matches. They have usually devolved into what I'm going to call bullshit. And then Roman Reigns came back and won the belt last month.
Yeah,
or
that
like
was
3 weeks ago or something.
Yeah.
In what I could happily describe as bullshit. Like that match was really stupid, and it made Roman Reigns look like an idiot. That was not like for him to just come back and for them to try and establish him as a big deal. That match and the way it ended was not the way to do that, I thought, because I thought he looked like an idiot. However, fucking a month, 3 weeks later, we have Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, which on paper you would imagine has the potential to be a good match, but also like kind of comes out of nowhere. You like out of everybody on the SmackDown roster, you picked was Jey Uso.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not knocking the dude, but I'm like, you know, you've got the former champions Strowman and Bray Wyatt. You've got Sheamus. You know, you've got all these guys, some of them who have been champions before, and Jey Uso is the one we get to headline this show, like to headline the whole show. That's the main event of Clash of Champions. So you're like, it's an interesting choice, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So then the match happened, and it was really good, but it wasn't it's not like a wrestling classic. Or it's not like a you know, like a William Regal, Chris Benoit kind of technical masterpiece. But for what it was, and that's the storytelling that you can only really tell in like wrestling really well. So yeah, the whole thing kind of came out of nowhere, and it wasn't perfect. I got a few little criticisms for them, but like they're willing to take my fucking advice on it. Hey Roman, good job. Let me give you a couple of pointers, all right? They're bad. Let me help you. But for the most part, they told a really good story, and Roman Reigns looked like $1 million.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns looked really good coming out of this match, which is exactly what they wanted and is exactly what they should have done.
Yeah.
You know, a long time ago. And not done any of that bullshit from last month. But this kind of stuff here was believable. Roman Reigns looked like he knew what he was doing. And, you know, Paul Heyman, to his credit, was very understated.
Yeah.
He didn't do a whole lot because he didn't have to. You know what I mean? Like, I find that all, like, because, you know, it could have got overcomplicated and bogged down and stuff. But Paul Heyman knew what he was doing and knew what he had to do for that whole thing. I had a couple of little issues with it, but what did you think of that match?
Yeah, I thought it was like a storytelling showcase. I thought it was exceptional. Like some of the best stuff that WWE has done in a long time in terms of just like, you know, the way they laid the seeds with obviously them being family and whatnot, and like the video package highlighting that, and you know, even the way it played out. Like Roman Reigns was bossing it, and as you'd expect him to. Like he's the big established star. He's the guy who's won Universal and World Championships and stuff. So he is the big dog, for lack of a better term. But then Jay had all those hope spots and stuff, and like he'd get in a few, moments and have like the occasional surprise pin or whatever, or like he had his chances to win the match, but Roman Reigns was just too strong for him, and yeah, and then it led to the whole end of the match where you got Roman Reigns, who basically spears Jay, could beat him, but instead he just wants him to like sort of acknowledge him as this tribal chief, which they're really pushing hard. And so yeah, like Jay refusing to do that not only makes Jay look good in response, like he's trying to stand up for himself and not give Roman what he wants, but like it just makes Roman all the more vicious looking as well, with the way he just keeps like beating him up and hits another spear and whatnot. And it brings out Jimmy as well to kind of try and convince his brother to give it up, and offers to throw in the towel for him and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's just simple but effective storytelling that we don't really see enough of in wrestling these days. It definitely felt like a throwback, but it just accomplished so much in making Roman Reigns like a properly interesting heel character, because he's been like the same for so long. Like he's just not really developed at all, like ever since the Shield, really. But now he's got this new kind of twist, new dynamic to him, and man, it's working so well.
Exactly. This is exactly the shot in the arm Roman Reigns needed, So I really like that. The few things that annoyed me were, and like these few things are minuscule in the grand scheme of things,
Mm.
But like I didn't think that the Usos, both of them, were very good at like conveying emotion.
Right.
For like example, there's a bit where like Roman Reigns is like holding up Jey Uso to the camera and is like, say what I want you to say, but like Uso doesn't seem like too out of breath when he's talking back. He just seems like he's more annoyed.
Mm.
The same thing whenever Jimmy Uso like when he comes in to confront or console his brother, and he like turns to Roman Reigns and he's like, you're the chief now. You happy? You got what you wanted. But again, he just sounded more annoyed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like his brother was like crumpled in front of him in a mess, and he's just like, "All right, Roman Reigns, you got what you want. Leave us alone." Yeah. I'm like, a little bit more nuance would have been pretty good there. Also, the thing that annoyed me was Roman Reigns continually saying, "Acknowledge me," because like I understand, I do love the shit talking that was going on. But acknowledge me is such an awkward phrase to say repeatedly.
Yeah.
Once you hear him say acknowledge me like 6 times, you're like, it sounds weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could have the English language is easy enough that you could have got to that point without having to say acknowledge me 6 times. Do you remember in Futurama whenever Bender went to like the Egypt planet and became their pharaoh, and he made a statue that was like 800 feet tall, that shot fire out of its eyes and said, "Remember me," like that. That's all I could think of was like Roman Reigns, "Acknowledge me," like that. And I'm like, come on, man, you need a better catchphrase than that. But other than that, I thought that match was really good.
Like it made me think coming out of it, like now that they've pulled the trigger on Roman and done this to kind of freshen him up and add some new dimensions to his character and stuff. Like Man, what if they'd done this with Cena back in the day? Like, done not this exact thing, obviously, but like, if they could have convinced Cena to have turned heel back in the day, and how much life would have that breathed into his character and made him way more fresh and more interesting as time went by? Because Cena was stuck playing the same character for ages as well, much like Roman Reigns has been for the last, 5, 6 years, whatever it has been. But yeah, it kind of made me think, man, what if?
Well, you know what I was thinking of the other day? Maybe last week, possibly the week before that. I was like, you know what Retribution really needs? A real shot in the arm would have been if they fucking lifted up the hoods and it was John Cena as their main guy.
Yeah, there you
Because we
go.
hadn't seen John Cena for months, right? He's been away for a long time,
Mm,
since WrestleMania. And John Cena comes back and he's like, listen, I'm the reason the Retribution are here because I'm fed up with the WWE. I've given my life, I've given everything for this company. And all I've gotten for the last 15 years, longer than 15 years, is everybody telling me how shitty I am and how much I suck and how much they hate me. And I'm fed up of it. So here's the thing. I got successful through the WWE and I'm fed up with everybody. So now nobody else can get the John Cena treatment. I'm cutting this company down from the inside. That's the end
mm.
of it. I'm the last John Cena. Fuck you guys. And that's it. Like, how awesome would that have been?
Yeah, man. I mean, especially playing off like the WrestleMania match with The Fiend as well, where it seemed like it was designed to change him and like evolve him. So that would have been
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And
Exactly.
John Cena did narrate like the opening video package of Clash of Champions as well.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's like a subtle hint that who knows, he could potentially be back and involved in Retribution. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, maybe.
How good would it be if I could, the two things I can call are one, Ric Flair driving an ambulance, and two, John Cena turning up in Retribution. Oh man,
Mm.
boy, that would be good. I mean, let's be honest, it's not gonna happen. But
No, not a chance,
no,
but
good
still.
God, no, no. He's too busy filming Suicide Squad or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, well, he's got his own spin-off of it already. Apparently, like a TV series.
Or does he?
Yeah.
Maybe this is all a work.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to the WWE to, realize that I've predicted what they're gonna do and then swerve us and give us something that is deeply unsatisfying instead. Because that's what they do. But we'll wait for that. So basically, Clash of Champions, pretty good.
Yeah, a lot better than I was expecting going into it. So good
Mm,
job, WWE.
I thought so too, man. I thought this is gonna be another one of those fucking, like, what was the one last month after SummerSlam? What was that? Extreme Rules?
That was, I want to say Payback, was it?
Payback? Maybe it was Payback. Yeah, it was Payback. Like that one felt like a filler show, and you're like, I don't know. I thought I coming into this one, I thought there's gonna be some matches I want to see, but it feels a little bit like a filler show. But it
Mm,
was way better than that, I thought. You know.
yeah.
Um, Again, I wouldn't say it's the best thing in the world, but I gotta say, it's a little highlight in 2020.
Oh, definitely.
Not a bad show whatsoever. Like
For
I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, for the ladder match and the main event alone, I'd say, uh, this definitely is a lot better than your average WWE pay-per-view. That's for sure.
Right, and God knows we've been complaining about how shitty wrestling has been for the last 5, 6, 7 months, the whole fucking year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Certainly through the whole pandemic, we've been like, we understand why it's shitty, but also this sucks and we don't want to. But no, this was fun.
Mm,
Quite enjoyed it. So yeah, dude. I mean, yes, there was no retribution at the show, which is understandable because apparently there's been a little rise in COVID-19 cases in the WWE. So like, it's a shame to have a little hanging thread there that they couldn't acknowledge.
mm.
And the same thing with the women's tag team championship match. It's like, that's just out of their hands. So it's a
Yeah.
shame to see that. All that stuff is probably going to get wrapped up by next month. Well, all of the stuff that was hanging from this pay-per-view will get explained by next pay-per-view. So it's not too bad, But yeah, dude, I liked it. Thought it was pretty good. So thank you for once, WWE, for listening to us. Because was it last week we were like, God damn it, please give us something good.
Yeah, yeah.
And they fucking did. And I'm kind of like, now I'm a little bit like apprehensive because I'm like, is this our Christmas treat?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is this like, I'll get you this now, but we'll give you the good stuff now, but that's it for the rest of the year,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
hate for that to be the case. I also would not be surprised if that was the case. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm cautiously optimistic because I think the Hell in a Cell matches potentially between Sasha Banks and Bailey and Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, if that is what they go with at the next pay-per-view, I think they both got potential to be really good matches. So hopefully this isn't like a one-off good pay-per-view and like there's more good stuff to come, but who knows, man.
what if the Hell in a Cell match turns out to be Akira Tozawa versus Drew Gulak versus R-Truth for the 24/7 championship, and it lasts 1 minute, and that's
uh
it. No more Hell in a Cell for that whole year.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, I'll probably take it.
All right, you wouldn't see it coming. You're like, at least it wasn't boring.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell at least nobody died. Oh, mercy. Yeah, so, we're feeling pretty good. Nice work, wrestling. Keep it up. I hear Ring of Honor have been doing some good stuff with their Pure tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to talk about that in the show sometime.
Yeah.
I don't know when that wraps up.
I'm not sure how far through it they are already, but I think it's
Yeah.
only been going on a couple of weeks or so.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then is there a takeover this weekend?
This Sunday,
Oh, so we could talk about that next week.
we can indeed.
How about that for like is it a cliffhanger? It's not really a cliffhanger. It's like a tease. It's a tease.
Yes, a tease.
Here's us teasing you for next week as to what the show is going to be. It's probably going to be us talking about NXT. They always put on a good show.
Oh, you've jinxed it now, man.
Ah, dicks. I mean, how could they fuck it up, No, I shouldn't say that either.
Oh,
Damn
dude.
it. Oh, man. Anyway, anything else you want to say about this show?
No, not really.
I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Mm.
And that's all you really want from a wrestling show. You want it to be fun. You want it to make sense. And I thought for the most part, both of those things were true.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Thanks a lot for listening to our little rambling. We'll be back next week with a little breakdown of the NXT TakeOver show. So we shall see you then. We're on YouTube every Thursday, most of the time. So thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one. So take it easy. Please.